what a beautiful way, Harman. You already laid out also the most profound way in which we can inspire other men to join us on our path. Everything you shared is the most inspiring message to inspire other men. As you correctly said, yes, the countless men out there yearning to want to be in connectedness with fellow brothers in authentic ways. And you use words like the receptiveness, support, comfort. These are words that I associate with my fellow brothers. It is, there is a stereotype that I hear in the East and the West. The stereotype: competitive, aggressive, talking over each other, staying always on the surface, dismissive, etc. These words I keep hearing associated with men. So, how would I ever be able to spend 2 hours in a circle with men? And what you shared, words like receptiveness, support, comfort, a deep sense of empathy and understanding, acceptance of each other, these are qualities that I associate with men. That maybe I'm an exception. I'm lucky that those are the kind of men I might be finding around me. But that is my reality of the men I know. So how difficult can it be then to inspire these men to join us in circle? And again, Harmen, that the words that you spoke, fortunately, is being recorded, is the perfect way, I believe, to touch the hearts of men who are still wondering, being part of a sacred brotherhood, is it for me? Aho.
Oh. Yeah, wanting to bring in also the word longing. So your longing is the conscious or unconscious longing of so many men. So you will speak to some of them through your showing up, and you may find your own friends, the ones you intended to be there, and you may also see that you've spoken to an audience out there, and apparently that's your path, and then those men will show up, and then you are immediately surrounded by total strangers, which may be something that for you is part of your longing, or maybe your worst nightmare, and then that's your entry point. So it's also the perfection that I've seen, the perfection of exactly those men that needed to be there, those men, those things being shared that needed to be shared, those, well, the perfection all along the way, again, for me, points to that the support is not even only from the men that are around you in there. It's something much bigger. This whole work is being supported because it's a contribution to the good of mankind. It's really bigger than we can sometimes experience, but that's also the comfort. So it's also really a journey of allowing yourself to surrender, but also to lean in or lean back, to feel supported and carried. A leader to me is also someone who at moments knows when not to lead, for example. And I've had the most profound circles when I was actually in that place where I felt I needed to lead for whatever reason, because I organized it, because I was normally the leader. And the moment where I shared that I didn't feel the energy to lead that those were mostly very profound healing journeys for me and for the men present, because I am just another version of you. So my process is your process, or at least one of the brothers' processes as well. So yeah, having had those experience of being carried by men physically, but also by something bigger. The fire for me is a very important symbol of that bigger support that is also there. Oh,
Wow. Oh. And Barry, I'm wondering, now that we are on this topic of inspiring others and launching, uh, what's emerging for you?
What emerging is a path of evolution, because when I first started, I was alone, and the next thing that I did, wrote my feelings down on Facebook. And for the people who really know me, I can be very not mild. I can be very direct. I can be very emotional when I feel left alone. When brothers left me alone while they said they would be there. And my metaphor is this battlefield that we are going on. My circles feel like a battlefield, meaning not that we are going to fight, but I am ready and willing to look your dragon in the eyes. And I wish that all men are ready to look my dragon in the eyes, and that can be very confronting. So that's the metaphor of a battlefield. Once you're there, once you're in the circle, I trust that that you will keep standing next to me, whatever happens, because that's for me important. So I wrote that down, what it did to me, the anger, the tears, also the inside of some fun, judging myself and being that strong towards myself. And that was the first thing that happened, because the next circle, there were 8 men and then 10 men. And then it really started by bringing up this vulnerability, bringing in myself. When I was doing it more often, I became visible, and people start talking about this man circle being there. And other men got attached to this happening, knowing that there was a fire, and now they could find it. And where I am now is that via different channels, things happen. And what is the most profound evolvement is that who I am in a circle becomes more and more my nature of being that person in real life. So now actually sisters are sharing it with brothers, that they really need to go to this circle to just experience it at least once, because they wish for that brother to be a brother like many other brothers who join circles, more aware, more present, more the mountain, so that the woman can be more the water and the wind. So it's an involvement of how things attract and how things work, because I have the feeling that now it works for me, and I need to do less work to promote it, less work to bring it into awareness of people. So it's a path of involvement. Oh, there he is again. So that's my path. That's what it brings in for me. It was putting effort in there, and now this effort returns multiplied in effortlessness.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
evolution.
Yeah. In fact, that was the word I wrote down. Actually, 2 words: evolution and visible. You said these words. They resonate very profoundly with me. The evolution of your own process, inner process, and the the reflection of that in the process of the growth of the brotherhood. I love that one. And the other thing that you mentioned, the sisters around us being such great champions. I'm totally with you on that one. It's today, if I look at what happens with my men's retreats, the greatest ambassadors of my men's retreats are women. They've seen somebody, a man around them being touched, or they see the authenticity of their male friends become visible through Facebook or personal conversations, etc. And they become, these sisters, these women become the greatest champion of my men's retreats. Every time the announcement goes out, the ones who lend the greatest support to my work are women. So I attest to that last part that you shared around how active our sisters can get in inspiring the men around them to take the leap into this unknown. So definitely. And on this question of how to inspire other men in joining us in circles, there is the age-old wisdom that comes to me that I always hold very dear to my heart. The big why of a circle. And roughly translated, it is very simply, feel good, see good. That is the rough translation of the mission of a sacred brotherhood. For brothers who come in there to feel good, that means to transcend the pain, the anxieties, the fears, the confusion, the chaos, all of that, and transcend to a place of inner alignment, joy, ease, etc. That is a feel good part. And the see good part is the epiphanies, the revelations, the illuminations, all of that happens to me when I continue to practice in a brotherhood. It just brings me clarity about life. Even the most mundane things like, how do I show up, in my community or with my friends, or how do I show up in my relationships, or what is my professional priority. So on every aspect of life, see good, the clarity that comes through being in brotherhoods. That is the second part of the big why of why a sacred brotherhood. And the reason why I felt I wanted to share that, was, in your sharing, Harmen, and Barry, yours, you touched upon both these things. And I wanted to just kind of summarize that. Maybe for some of the listeners, brothers, it might help putting that out in their announcement, what is a sacred brotherhood about, or why a sacred brotherhood? They might be receiving, many brothers receive this question. So at least those who listen, they know that there is a very simple, elegant way to articulate the mission of a sacred brotherhood. Feel good, see good. Aho.
Oh.
Always use a
And
phrase.
on that note, I want to bring in the awareness of time. For myself, I need to move shortly. And like I said at the beginning, I can talk about this for hours because I love what I do. And I really wish for all men to at least one time in their life join a physical men's circle, at least once. So also for that energy, I could talk for hours because I feel this very important, and it should be mandatory for men to join a men's circle. That yeah, I cannot push them towards it. That's the thing. But I would really love to do that. Because I know how profound it can be. So bringing in that time, I very much would love to be this the first of many fireside chats amongst us or other men, invite men to deepen our own journey. So yeah,
Wow.
I hope.
Okay, so we're back, and Barry is now in traveling mode. Shall we look at whether we've sort of grounded the part on launching circles? And actually, when you were sharing, Sujith, allow me to also share something that I always used when explaining what the circle was about. And actually, it's also a phrase that I picked up from you. I love the feel good, see good. And what I always used was your explanation that circles are about self-realization over self-preservation. And that, for me, that was I love that, because I could relate to that sentence. So there may be other men that can relate to that distinction between self-realization that comes from introspection, and it comes from support from other men towards my growth path, and supporting other men on their path, over self-preservation. And I personally have been in a lot of self-preserving environments, whether it's the football team, where in a way there is self-realization as a team, and there is support, and there is something there that also is has to do with who is the toughest, who is the best, who is the that part. I've been in a student fraternity where, again, there is a certain degree of togetherness. There is a certain degree of bonding. There is a certain degree of deepening through experiences that you have together, whether it's late night in the bar with women. So there is bonding happening there, but it's usually related to us versus them bonding, also on the soccer field. So the self-preservation, maybe a collective self-preservation, but if that's the field, then ultimately it's also about self-preserving myself in the football team, self-preserving myself in the fraternity, self-preserving myself in my company or organization. So, and what I really loved was this notion of self-realization being really the intention of these circles. It also comes with inclusion. It comes with non-judgment. It comes with brotherhood. It really comes with brotherhood, and we are all brothers. So just wanting to add that notion. It's also the reason why we allow and we invite the men in the training to also ponder and be with the question, what is it a sacred brotherhood and what is it not? So I just wanted to add that personal notion, really, and reflection to ground that part for the men who are looking for more ways of putting it out there or explaining what it is about.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that addition. All of this super helpful.